My name's Fareen and I love that I have homework. It's one of my favorite things. And trust me, this was not always the case. A few things have changed along the way, and I'd like to share them with you. I want you to visualize your life. Think of your friends and family, think of your school, your job, the community you live in. All these things make you you. And if suddenly this were to be taken from you, you feel quite lost and hopeless. 25 years ago, this was the case for my parents and many others. They immigrated from Afghanistan to Canada and left everything. Their culture, their home, their friends and family, all behind, in search of a better quality of life. My dad was in med school at the time, and when he came to Canada, his education didn't count. Luckily, both my parents studied English, and this gave them a leg up while navigating life in Canada. They were able to get jobs, find a place to live. My parents have an incredible work ethic, and through their hard work, they've become business owners. I have two older sisters, and my parents have not stopped working to support the three of us in all of our aspirations. I remember the time I was so persistent to go to French school, and it was on the opposite side of the city. We lived in Calgary at the time, so it was a bit of a commute. When I asked my dad if I could go, he was immediately supportive, helped me write the best application, and I got in. Today, I live in Revelstoke. It's a small town in BC, and in it, I drive, I play sports, I see my friends, I have a job, I have access to social media. Opportunities come to me often. This talk is no different. Of all the opportunities I have access to, being able to get up every morning, go to class, and come home to do my homework is the most stable and secure part of my life. And when someone asks me, what are you going to do when you're older? And this is a question I know you've all heard before. We could answer with just about anything. I could go to university or start working. Maybe I'll take a year off and travel the world. I have so many choices and opportunities, and every step of the way I can continue to learn. And I know most students can get very busy between school and sports and extracurriculars and jobs, and I'm no different. It's easy to get wrapped up in life and forget just how privileged I am to go to school. For as long as I can remember, I've been getting up every morning and going to class. It's nothing out of the ordinary in my life, and because of that, sometimes I wake up dreading the thought of sitting in class for 6 hours straight. But it's important to be reminded of just how lucky I am to have access to the safe, quality education that's been provided for me since I was a kid. I had sort of a rude awakening one night. I was sitting at the dining table studying for a test I had the next day. My notes and worksheets were scattered all around, and I was cramming. I remember I took a break, and I was complaining to my parents a little bit about my workload, and I ended up scrolling through my phone. A post popped up in my feed that caught my attention. It was about a bombing at a girls' school in Afghanistan. My dad was sitting in the room with me. I asked him if he heard about it. He told me that in Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan, 3 vehicles were packed with explosives and set off outside a girls' school. And the students were walking out at the end of the day to go home when it happened. CBC News reported that 50 people died and over 100 were injured, most of them schoolgirls between the ages of 11 and 15. I was stunned when I heard the news. Maybe the way some of you are now, girls my age who look just like me are being bombed at their schools. They're being targeted because of their gender and access to education. Still sitting at the dining table, I look down at my scattered notes. I'm sitting here, an Afghan girl in Canada, complaining about my homework, while girls in Afghanistan are being bombed for going to school. It suddenly made a few things very clear to me. I am so privileged to have access to the safe, quality education that's been provided for me since I was a kid, and that I might be taking this privilege for granted when I should be taking advantage of it. It's scary to think of how easily my future and my education could be taken from me. If my parents hadn't immigrated, if I was born in Afghanistan instead of Canada, would I be one of these girls? Would I be under the rubble? Would I have to watch as my friends and sisters are killed? Would I be scared to go to school? Would I have to sit and watch as the single most important thing in the world, my right to learn, is taken from me? The lack of girls' education in Afghanistan is a consequence of the instability within the country and its government. According to UNESCO, before the recent conflict, there was an increase of 9 million kids enrolled in schools across the country. The number of women in higher education increased by almost 20 times. Overall, from 2001 to 2018, literacy rates for the entire population doubled. But when instability took over the country and the government, girls' education was targeted. As a result, since 2021, girls over the age of 12 have not been allowed to return to school. Since December of 22, university education for all women was cut off. Currently, 80% of Afghanistan's girls and young women are out of school. The Malala organization also highlights that the issue of educating girls is not only prevalent in Afghanistan, but also in India, Ethiopia, Brazil, Turkey, Nigeria, Lebanon, and more. According to UNICEF, 132 million girls are out of school worldwide. 132 million ideas are lost, and 132 million voices are going unheard. The Malala organization also provides insight into the lives of these girls who are out of school. By taking away their education, they're left with limited options for the future. Often they end up being married young and as teen moms, stuck in an unstable country they don't have the means to live, where their children are bound to live the same lives they did. The organization also provides input to the economic and political disadvantages of taking girls out of school. When a country gives all its children secondary education, they cut their risk of war in half. Afghanistan is a war-stricken country, and educating Afghan girls is the first step to an improved future. As girls in Canada, we are so lucky to have access to what we do. A lot of people our age don't. Whether it be across the globe or even within our own cities, access to education is not the same for everyone. I have a 10-minute drive to get to school. But some people live further away, or they don't have parents who can drive them in the mornings, and suddenly the commute becomes an obstacle. Or for example, I go to a small high school. There are 400 students, and each of my teachers promote an enabling environment that pushes me to be better, to think for myself, to ask questions. But even this experience is not the same across the West. Barriers exist everywhere, and it limits access. But if we do have access to safe, quality education, what can we do to make the best of it? First off, enjoy learning, have fun, go to class, learn as much as you can from wherever you have access to, and apply your knowledge. Apply your knowledge to the real world. Take advantage of your opportunities. Take advantage of your opportunities to learn. Take advantage of your opportunities to help others. Be grateful for what you have access to, and recognize the difference that your privilege can make. Share your ideas, vocalize your opinions, be politically active, raise awareness, take action. Metro News reported that in December, male students in universities of Afghanistan walked out of their exams in protest of the ban on women's higher education. The Hindustan Times said that almost 60 professors resigned when the ban on women's university education was put into effect. There's so much support from men in Afghanistan, and it reminds us that women are not alone in this fight. In Canada, we are so lucky to have access to what we do. And amid the chaos and stress of our day-to-day lives, I'd like you to take a second to say thank you for your homework, a second to say thank you for your education. We're so lucky to have access to it, and sometimes we can forget just how privileged we are. As youth, each mind in this room is brimming with innovative and powerful ideas. Each girl in Afghanistan is filled with a unique and important perspective. And it's my wish that all our ideas and voices are heard, because we have the power to raise these issues and ensure we create a world that we're proud to live in. A world where education is treated as a human right and not just a privilege. We define the future, and more immediately, the present. So, make change, take hold of opportunities, and most importantly, cherish your homework.